was returning to Dallas from Waxahachie, a southern suburb of the sprawling Texas metroplex. UFO contact that had taken place near the Addison airport 2 weeks earlier was still on my mind. At that time, as a practicing yogi, I was singing kirtan and reciting the name of my guru in the face of this seemingly cosmic encounter. It's about 10 to 3, October 15th, 2010, Addison, Texas. When the lights flashed in the sky, I considered how that strobing behavior could represent a form of extraterrestrial communication. The UFO was still on my mind when Dwanna Paul suggested a visit to the haunted Catfish Plantation on the night before Halloween. Catfish Plantation is a haunted restaurant where Ms. Paul had led numerous seances in the late 1980s. Dwanna Paul is a renowned trance medium and the original Catfish Plantation paranormal investigator. I'm John Kelly, a world-famous speech analyst and former CBS radio feature producer who issued public reports of intelligence pertaining to the Iraq War 2 years before it began. My catalogs of original paranormal photography and UFO videos had also attracted international attention. It was the production of those images that had led to my invitation to participate in this investigation. Founded in 1850, Waxahachie, Texas, had become a prosperous agricultural area emphasizing cotton production by the early 20th century. The introduction of rail services in the late 1870s allowed an economic means of transport for both goods and people to and from the region. Substantial wealth was generated within the community for several decades until the Great Depression of the 1930s. Slow growth and development from that time forwards has resulted in the preservation and restoration of many unique structures, with a number of local buildings listed in the National Register of Historic Places.
A lot of the hotels that used to not lock their doors at night do now. I guess even in Waxahachie, huh? So familiar after such a long time ago. First time. Really something. To be back. To be back in the original Ghostbusting.
We arrived at Catfish Plantation late in the day to find it overflowing with customers. As the original investigator to explore this location, trance medium Dwanna Paul was excited to be back.
Hi, you look nice. Is Anne? Miss Anne? No, she's not at the moment. I'm Dwanna Paul. Oh, hello, Dwanna. I'm Michael. Hi, I wanted to come down. It's like an anniversary for me.
Oh, yeah, well, happy anniversary.
Well, not a happy anniversary here, walking back in here.
Well, a happy anniversary anyway.
Yeah, you know who, Dwanna Paul?
Yes, thank you. I've heard so much about you.
Oh, well, thank you.
It means I have
Catfish Plantation.
Well, I'm so happy.
I'm happy to meet you, too. I just felt like I needed to be here tonight.
Well, I'm so glad. You know what? We have had a lot of things going on, and
we are seating on the patio if
while
anybody
you're
wants to eat
here,
out there.
you'll be able to share some things as well.
While we were waiting for our table, Dwanna Paul explained part of the Catfish Plantation history.
1985, I was here to investigate the Catfish Plantation with Melissa Baker and Tom Baker. And I found a spirit. We just found a spirit standing in front of the window, and I'm trying to remember all the spirits' names. Like, I think it was William was one of them. Elizabeth was a real prominent spirit in the place. And I just remember we did our seances in this front parlor, and then in the room, and we had a lot of visitors. We had lots of media then, but the place we were sitting one night after the restaurant closed, and the original owners, and a couple of other people were sitting. And we sat up until about 3 o'clock in the morning. And we saw this blue light, you know, moving across the room. And at that time, we didn't have cameras to take pictures of it, but it was pretty interesting. But we worked with TV, and it's an interesting old place. It's pretty cute. They've come a long way since I first came down here and heard about it. And when Melissa called me, she said, well, we have French fries. The cooks are complaining about them flying out of the basket. And cups are being stacked up in the morning and fresh pots of coffee made. So we figure Elizabeth was doing that. So anyway, it was pretty exciting at that time. A lot of decorating, lots of renovation. They had a fire, and they were able to build it all back again.
Really?
Yeah.
How much destruction did the fire cause?
You know, I'm not sure. I wasn't living around here at that time, so I'm not sure how extensive the fire was. But they remodeled, put on a deck, and here we are, back again, visiting my history. Catfish Plantation.
Co-owner Ann Landis arrived and offered to take us on a tour of what is reportedly the most haunted restaurant in Texas.
Shadow figure that walked through, or ran through, I should say, but they only aired it in Europe. They didn't air it here in the United States.
I wonder why.
I don't know. That was up to the Discovery Channel.
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
That would have been really good.
I know. All they would allow them to air was the object manipulation.
That's really good.
I saw that episode.
Yes, it's Maury Povich. The first show was Maury Povich. What was that? Current Affair.
Yes.
The first film crew.
Oh my goodness.
Current Affair.
We've been on Discovery, we've been on Travel, we've been on Food Network.
Yeah.
And then we've been in Rachel Ray's Food Magazine.
Oh, fantastic.
This is room C.
I remember. I did that's one of you seance in it.
Yeah, yeah. CBS came down last
25 years ago?
Cool. Yeah. The restaurant is 26 years old this year.
So I got it when it first started.
When Catfish Plantation started.
Yeah.
Yes.
Melissa Baker.
Melissa and Tom Baker, yeah.
And there is room B. There is another bathroom, but there's also attic space back there somewhere. It goes up to the attic in the bathroom. And I had a picture of her right when I played with that attic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was. We'd come in here and we'd sit after the restaurant clubs. So on Mondays, we would sit. Melissa right here in this corner. Melissa and Carol, my friend, and we would get all this. Then we'd do the seances right here.
My goodness.
We must have had 20 seances in a year for all the news media. So,
That is so cool.
yeah.
Well, this is room A.
Where Elizabeth stands in there.
They call it Liza. We looked and looked. We could not document anything that said Elizabeth. We on the voice box that they brought in. Of course, they do the K2 meters and voice boxes and things. You were picking up on Elizabeth and Liza, but they call. I don't know. We couldn't find an Elizabeth. We did find something that might be Liza. There was a person who we asked what their name is, and they said Lola Roller. We documented that. And there's been several different, people show up that Sean even could tell you more about the names of them. Kathleen is very gifted, the little lady, black-headed lady that comes to me. She's very gifted, but our daughter is too, and our son was very gifted.
At the time of our visit, Anne and her husband Richard were grieving over the tragic death of their son Beau in a car accident from earlier that year. It was a recurring theme in our conversation throughout the
We have had several ghost hunting groups come through here. One of them was with Rick Moran. He was one of the lead investigators on the Mothman Prophecies. He's a Texas member of TAPS. He said he disproved the Amityville horror house. He disproved that. And he died about 3 days before our son died. I know. Very strange. And it's just been a really, really, crazy, sad year. But he'll be okay. He'll be fine. He's okay. I know he's fine. Well, he shows up every now and then, like you said, he was here today. I love to talk to him, but
maybe we can do that one via Dallas.
Too close to him, I think. Yeah. He doesn't want to frighten him.
Well, the things that you're hearing, you already know about it, so that validation-wise, it's like, is it him or is it my own mind?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy you all went forward with the project after we talked, because I saw the deck, I saw the whole thing. The deck already here?
The deck was here when we bought it. Tom and Melissa put the deck in. Bo and I had a shop downtown.
I remember that.
Yeah, and both of my parents had heart attacks, and I had to just close the door and leave. So we have not ever reopened that. But we do have our offices for the restaurant there. So we haven't done any more of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of history. I met some of my students here who are in spirit world.
Oh, that's good. That's why they were waiting.
After an overview of the restaurant interior, we proceeded out to the deck to soak up some of the early evening atmosphere on the night before Halloween at the haunted Catfish Plantation. It was here where Ann Landis would explain how she felt that she had been led to meet Dwanna Paul.
Spirit.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here now, so that's very good, yeah.
It was spontaneous. We have to go. We have to go.
That's good. That's good. And yeah, I know you'll be back. We have a lot of, we were led to you. Before we bought this restaurant, Bo and I went to a little trade show up, where do they have that every month?
Was
it's
it
in
a
Dallas.
psychic fair
Yes,
or something?
Yeah, we went up there.
Yeah, and the Addison Wellness
That's
Expo?
That's it, the Addison Wellness Expo.
Yeah, I was just there this year, too.
And I said, I have to meet this woman. And Bo was feeling really bad. He didn't feel good. And I said, I have to go meet her right now. And he said, I have to leave, Mom. I can't do this. And I said, okay. So I ran by and I grabbed one of your cards. And I said, well, I will see her again. And so that's when we called you, and you did a reading for us. And I didn't tell you anything. You told me a lot of things. And then I told you, I said, well, we are thinking about buying Catfish Plantation.
You didn't say catfish. I said, this looks like catfish.
Well, you did it first.
Oh, I see.
And then I said, well, would you be surprised if I told you?
Oh, yes. I remember
it is
that.
catfish. I waited till you finished. I waited till you finished everything. I said, would you be surprised if we were thinking about, if I told you we were thinking about my plantation?
That was great.
And then you told me about Melissa Baker and all the connection and everything, which I thought, well, see, Spirit led us to
Absolutely.
you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember
you're
that story a little different, by saying, I remember, and I'm looking.
You told me everything.
Catfish.
You said Catfish Plantation, and I waited until you finished, and I said, well, would you be surprised if I told you? I think I still have the little
CD.
Yeah, the little cassette tape. That's what you gave me. But I said, would you be surprised if I told you we were thinking about buying? We had not bought it at that time.
I was like shocked.
Yeah, you said,
here you
well,
are.
you said no. You were shocked. Your eyes got really big, but you said, actually, no, because I picked up on it. Somebody's telling me something.
Somebody's telling me.
Yeah. So you picked up on it. You knew.
I did.
Yeah.
I
That
did.
was cool. And
Spirit gets me to know.
Oh, you betcha.
Co-owner Richard Landis met us on the deck and spoke about the funeral for their son, Bo Landis.
Thought I'd take a rest and got talking to the hayride people.
Oh, you had a hayride going
Yeah,
on?
we had a wagon.
Oh, wonderful.
So, and all the kids loaded up and all ready to go, and so it's a real treat, especially for the younger people who used to being pulled with a tractor and not horses.
Horses, yeah.
and team
Yeah.
is just
Yeah,
really
that's great.
Really great.
The old-fashioned way.
Stephanie
Yes.
Hunt and her mom, Sherry.
Yes.
Sherry. Yeah, and that was the wagon they used to take boat to the cemetery in.
Yes.
With their horses.
Yeah, there you
We
go.
decorated it up. It was beautiful. Yeah.
It really was.
And even the mortuaries was taking pictures of it, and they said, "Yeah, haven't seen. We've seen old timey pictures of stuff like this. We haven't seen anything like this in years." It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And there was a French lady with doves, and then there was a piper. Piping.
Oh, how unique for Bo as being the unique personality he was here on this earth planet.
Yeah.
For such a young person, it was amazing. They have a good-sized chapel there, and there was standing room only.
People were outside.
There was outside that couldn't get in. It was unbelievable. And it's amazing how well loved he was, and it was really touching. It just broke my heart.
Thank God that y'all, you have a belief system that says, I know that he's in another dimension and I know he can contact us. I know he can be here. So it's just absent of the body, but he's still there.
Yeah, he's with us
That's
every day.
beautiful. Of course. I give messages all the time, knowing I can give evidence about that.
You want to put on a new CD pop? She gave us this.
Yeah, put that on.
okay.
It'll
You wanna
talk
put that
about
on?
spirit and show some lights.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dwanna Paul also produced some orb photography that night, which caught the attention of guests who described hearing strange noises.
Where'd you get that
It
from?
was over there. At first, thought
That's
it
where
was.
we were hearing all the noise.
Ah.
Just before we got up.
Oh,
Do you remember?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Isn't that beautiful?
Awesome.
Oh, that is so cool.
Now, the next one, there's nothing in it. And look at that.
Look
Looks like
at
it's
that.
raining. And it's right there.
We were just sitting here before we went to the restroom, and I told her, I said, do you hear all that noise over there?
I said it was a spook.
It was.
There was
It's
your
awesome.
spook in there.
Awesome. I love
see.
stuff
Oh, that
like
is so cool. Yeah, because we were
Look at
sitting here, we
that.
were going, oh, we hope we see her.
Look at that. So that's a night vision camera.
Uh-huh. Well, it can be, or just...
Or color.
A color.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's see if I can...
Oh my God, that is totally cool. When did you take that one? That was the
Just a
bright
minute
one.
ago. About a second ago.
Told you I heard something over there.
And that's the one in color. And we got actually got orbs. We're not sure. I'm not sure if that's light or orbs. So let's see. That's that one. See that one over there?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And that's that one.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And that.
That is awesome.
Look at that.
I get this one a lot with me. I'm like, wow.
Maybe it's following me.
Maitre d' Michael Bell described disembodied footsteps and a ghostly reflection in the mirror.
One of the stories I have happened no more than about 4 weeks ago. We were pretty packed, and it was a late night. And after a while, when things started to die down, I heard something as the sound of gum boots, like mud boots, that were walking across the floor. I was in that dining room, and so just to make sure, I was going to go out with my list and see how many was in the party as to be seated. Well, you could see the shadow of the footsteps, like somebody was walking pretty far to the left of everything. Then all of a sudden, I go outside, and I hear the footsteps, and whenever I circle around, nobody's there. The other thing that happened was whenever it was no more than about, I'd say it's 3 months ago, we had a lady who is the manager of the Holiday Inn, and she decided that she would come in here and stand right in this little area here and take a picture. She was interested in some of the architecture, and she had some of her friends around taking a picture, when all of a sudden she comes back with a photo, and we're hitting some cold spots in this place. All of a sudden, we turned around, and when she took that picture, there was nobody else at this side of the corner of the house, but in that mirror, there was hair and a body looking down. Now, if that's not creepy enough for you, we've had experiences in this dining room where a couple of our guests are creating some sort of a ruckus, and we had ladies whose fork flipped, and so that's happened quite a few times. They've crossed in front of me while I'm talking to somebody, and the tablecloth gets moved. So it's not a matter of expecting it. When you don't expect it, some of the best things happen.
Waitress Lisa Gonzalez described her encounter with a shadow being, along with poltergeist phenomena, including descriptions of objects moving by themselves.
Actually, it was in the day. It wasn't even at night, and I don't even think anybody was eating in the restaurant. So I decided, I think, I'm going to go ahead and eat before we get busy. And so I'm eating a piece of chicken, and I'm going to walk to the front from the kitchen. So I'm walking out of the kitchen into dining room D to go up through the front. And we've got those swinging doors and kind of have that little window so you can see out, and it happens so quick. I'm looking at it as I'm going into the next room, and I see a tall, dark shadow. Looked like a man. Looked like maybe he had on some type of hat, maybe a long coat. When I made it to the other side of the door into the room, he wasn't standing up anymore. He was actually on his knees and crawled up under the corner table and disappeared. So I was really, really scared. I was just almost choked on my food. And I've had several incidences. One actually just last night. Everybody had left, and I was cleaning up the rooms, and we usually vacuum the floors, and move the chairs, look for any crumbs, and I noticed there was a fork. While the vacuum was running, I pulled out the chair. I noticed there was a fork on the floor. So I thought to myself, I'm going to vacuum around it. When I shut the vacuum off, I'll pick it up, take it to the, to the dishwasher to be washed. Well, I stopped the vacuum, and I went down to look at the floor, and it wasn't on the floor. It was on top of the table. The table had already been cleaned and reset, and I thought I would never stick a dirty fork onto the table. So it was kind of like, I didn't know if it was, a mind confusing thing, because I thought, well, did I? And I just didn't know. It made me kind of doubt, and I thought, no, I know, because I wasn't going to pick it up until I turned off the vacuum. So several things. One time we had just did I can't remember, I think it was an apple pie, and we had just taken it out of the oven, and it was a Friday night. We took it out of the oven. We were going to box it up, put it in the fridge to get cooled, to get ready to serve. And so I had my first order, and it was a full pie, and we have these long work tables. So I opened the box, and of course, naturally, you're going to stick it in the middle of the table. You don't want it to fall off. And cut a piece out, turn around and get some Cool Whip, and I heard just boom. And I thought, oh my gosh, I just messed up this whole apple pie for Friday night. We're not going to be able to do another one. I looked down on the floor. It's in the box, not a crumb, perfectly in place. And I was like, it just blew my mind, because nobody else was across from me, that could have knocked it over. I know I set it down, I didn't put it at the edge. So always little things like that. And another dining room one time, how I do it is I always try to have the ketchup on the table, because that's what you can leave out of the fridge. So I always have it set up on the table. Well, when they get their food, they asked for the ketchup, and I thought, well, that's funny, because I know I had sat it there, and I thought, well, you kind of doubt again. I thought, well, maybe one of the waitresses grabbed it, took it off, took it to her room. So it was no big deal. I didn't think nothing of it. I gave him the ketchup bottle. Again, at the end of the night, when I'm vacuuming, I look, I'm moving the chairs under the table, in the middle of the table on the floor is the bottle of ketchup. So it's just little things, constant little things that happen that you don't. A lot of them, the only thing that really scared me was seeing that shadow. All the other little things that go around, you can doubt sometimes, and you're just not sure, is it in my head? You kind of blow it off, well, maybe it's this, but it's always happening.
Now that I had recorded testimonies from a number of Catfish Plantation speakers, it was time for me to process their comments using my audio lab, with the same procedure that had uncovered Iraq war secrets over 10 years earlier. Speech is a multidimensional stimulus, states University of California at Irvine professor Courage Saberi, and there are a number of ways that you can extract a message from it. I would take the Catfish Plantation audio and process it through a digital mirror, reflecting it backwards in order to monitor the signal for unconscious communications related to sleep talking and Freudian slips. The results of this study were somewhat surprising. Here are the Catfish Plantation's secret messages, encrypted backwards in the voices of the witnesses.
We have had several ghost hunting groups come through here. One of them was with Rick Moran. He was one of the lead investigators on the Mothman Prophecies. He's a Texas member of TAPS. He said he disproved the Amityville for the house. He disproved that. And he died about 3 days before our son died.
Ann Landis's unconscious descriptions of hearing spirits in the form of boot steps appears to support what Maitre d' Michael Bell had been saying while on camera.
I heard something as the sound of gum boots, like mud boots, that were walking across the floor.
Everybody had left, and was cleaning up the rooms, and we usually vacuumed the floors, and moved the chairs, look for any crumbs, and I noticed there was a fork. While the vacuum was running, I pulled out the chair. I noticed there was a fork on the floor. So I thought to myself, I'm going to vacuum around it. When I shut the vacuum off, I'll pick it up, take it to the, to the dishwasher to be washed. Well, I stopped the vacuum, and I went down to look at the floor, and it wasn't on the floor. It was on top of the table. The channel in my room. The channel in my room. The channel in my room.
Lisa Gonzalez's unconscious remark about a shadow in her room seems a favorable reflection of what she had described earlier as the experience of seeing a shadow man who disappeared.
I see a tall, dark shadow. Looked like a man. Looked like maybe he had on some type of hat, maybe a long coat. When I made it to the other side of the door, into the room, he wasn't standing up anymore. He was actually on his knees and crawled up under the corner table and disappeared. And the only thing that really scared me was seeing that shadow.
Before night's end, a coin would appear on the floor of the deck where we were seated, and co-owner Ann Landis was able to explain its significance in terms of the car accident that claimed her son's life, Ms. Landis's desire to see her parents, and the close spiritual connection between family members.
Okay, so tell me, what's the story on this coin?
It's from Oklahoma,
Yes.
and my son left it for me tonight. It's a scissortail flycatcher, which is the state bird, and it's Oklahoma.
Now, I picked, Dwanna saw it.
My parents live in Oklahoma.
Dwanna saw it on the floor. I
Yeah.
picked it up, and you had identified it.
Yes.
So that's pretty amazing. And that's par for the course. This is the kind of thing that happens here, isn't that
I
right?
can't get, yes, all the time, just very subtle. Yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
can't get up there to take care of them right now because our car was destroyed, so we don't have a car that will make it.
But they want you to know that they know
That it's
you're thinking,
okay.
and you're thinking about them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
New it, I'm going to go 75.